Hello everyone, this is Rochelle Rosenberg. Shabbat Shalom to every one of you out there, and welcome to this Saturday's weekly parasha. So today we're gonna have a little bit of talk regarding Korach. So our weekly topic for today is Korach. And we're gonna find it in number 16, 18 to 32. So maybe I have to get the Bible. I have to get my Bible first. Let me see. I hope everybody is doing well. Let me see. Let's go to Numbers 16. That is in Bamidbar. Okay. So the first chapter, what that would be coming up, will be in the 16th. 16. And from the verse 1, Korah is the son of Izar, the son of Kohat, the son of Levi. And so it means that Korach is the grandson of Levi. Okay, and Levi is one of the sacred sacred Kohanim. They are not really the I will give you a little bit of picture regarding Korach, okay? All right. So first and foremost, we're just gonna have a little bit of welcome to each and every one of you. Right. All right, so now we're just gonna start now. And I want to welcome each and every one of you out there. Thank you so much, JM Ramos, for being here. It's wonderful to see you. All right. So we're just gonna have to start now, I suppose. Okay, that was a wrong move. All right. So what is this kind of chapter this week? Korach. General overview. Korach stages a rebellion against Moses, accusing him of a power, and he and his entourage are swallowed up by the earth. The people protest, and plague ensues. Of the Okay, I'm sorry. I was lost in the internet. I was lost in the internet. So let's go first to the first reading. And it's kind of interesting with this first reading, by the way. Let me see. Okay. Something is wrong with my internet, and I don't know what it is. But I hope you guys are fine over there. All right. So the incident of the spies recounted in the previous section understood the importance of entering the land of Israel in order to fulfill God's commandments in the physical world. Soon afterward, Moses' cousin Korach staged a rebellion against Moshe's authority. So the danger is Korach and his supporters confronted Moshe. That is can be found in 16:2. They confronted Moshe together with 250 men from the children of Israel, chieftains of the congregations, representatives of the assembly, men of repute. So this is important to understand when it comes to rebellion within the faith, that there will always be people who will gather with them, men of positions. So these men are not easy to they're not easy to go against, because they are all in position. So let's see. And therefore, he reasoned the person who works for a living has no need to aspire to moments of reconnection to spirituality. As such, he further concluded that there is no need for an elite class of individuals, the tribe of Levi, the priest and the high priest in particular, who would be devoted exclusively to the spiritual life in order to inspire the rest of us. Moshe responded to Korach's claims by telling him that a clergy devoted exclusively to the service of God is indeed necessary in order to inspire those involved in the mundane world and instruct them as to what is permitted and what is prohibited. Without such inspiration and guidance, it is too easy to lose sight of our ideals and end up as slaves materiality rather than its masters. So the meaning of this reading here is that Korah do not want to respect the borderlines. He do not want to respect the rules, that there are guidelines within spirituality. And it's very important to understand the motives of Korach, because Korach is one of the Levites. And what he says here is that we are already priests, so we actually don't need to follow those rules. And I don't think it is necessary for us to obey them, because we are already in this high level of spirituality. So this only applies to those people. That's what Korach is saying. But what Moses is saying is, no, that is not true. He states that it is permitted to live by these rules so that the people will have a guidance and will have an instruction in living. Okay, it is too easy to lose sight of our ideals and end up as slaves, okay, to materiality rather than its masters. So this is what Moses is saying in this portion. All right, so let me see again. Now we're gonna go to the next reading. And welcome again to Honessa and Yams Garb. Okay. Let me see here. The first reading was this one, the danger of either or thinking. Okay, that is in first reading number 16, 1 to 13. And then we're gonna go to the second, holy rebels. Okay, as in holy rebels. So God told Moses to conduct a test that would demonstrate the error of Korach and his supporters. Offering up incense was part of the tabernacle service that was allowed to be performed only by the priest and only at specified times. So the Jewish people had previously witnessed how Aaron's two elder sons had died on account of having offered up an unauthorized incense offering. Now, God had Moses instruct Korach and his company to offer up incense, as would Aaron also. Whoever's incense was not accepted by God would perish. So this is now the test between power. So if you would think in the authority of our community, this is political. But since this is according to the role of the Kohanim, so what happens here um, is that Korach is questioning the positions of Moshe. And even he's not just questioning Moshe, he's questioning everybody. He's questioning Aaron's position. So now what happens is that God told Moses to let each man take his censer and place incense upon it, and let each man present his censer before God. So that is in Numbers 16:17. And this is most of the character that we mostly have within our faith. I think that you could see yourselves from it, you could picture yourselves from it, because whenever we know something in life, we sometimes think that we can overpower somebody. And since when we think that we know a lot of things, we think that we think that we are special, and we think that we are above someone else. But that is not the case, because even if we know so much, it is still God who would decide who will be the leader, and it will still be God who would decide who will go first before him. Okay, so there is not such special upon being the leadership, but the thing is, there is such a great amount of responsibility that comes along with it. So maybe let's go back and read again. Although they knew that an authorized use of the incense would cause their death, Korach and his followers took up the challenge. They wished to experience the lofty service of the high priest, even if it would cost them their lives. In this sense, their motivations were pure. We can learn from their example, similarly aspiring to the most uplifting spiritual experiences. But their error, which we must also learn from, was disregarding the absurdity of going against God's will in order to get close to Him. So remember that there are times God had stated that um, there's a special time for them to come close, and there's a special time for them to not come close. So in this manner, Korach is not really respecting those borderlines. He just want to place himself whenever he want to, and so he don't care. So in this particular subject as well, we could also notice that it's like he don't even care about the lives of the 250 men with him, because the challenge was to bring an incense and place upon it. They were not afraid to die. He have the big confidence over himself that he will be chosen by God. In that manner, it also shows a lot of pride. It also shows a lot of pride. So now we're just gonna go to the next. And to the next is never despair of anyone. Okay, so there were 250 people who offered up incense. Beside this, there was a large crowd of people whom Korach had won over to his side. With the help of two members of the tribe of Reuben, the brothers of Datan and Abiram, Moses tried to convince these other rebels to abandon Korach's mutiny. So Moses arose and went to Datan and Abiram. It is in Numbers 16:25. Okay. The Lord spoke to Moses saying, that is in Numbers 16:23, speak to the congregation saying, withdraw from the dwelling of Korah, Datan and Abiram. So there was already a warning from God giving it to Moshe, and says that don't go to his side, Datan and Abiram. So it means also that God cares about these people, Datan and Abiram. He cares for their lives. Therefore, he wanted that Datan and Abiram would not participate in this mutiny. And he spoke to the congregation, please get away from the tents of these wicked men and do not touch anything of theirs, lest you perish because of all their sins. So now Moses is also warning the crowd. Remember that whenever there are people in your community that are actually doing crazy things, rebellion actually starts here. First, they question the authority of the person leading them. Number two, they gather people who have power to come to close to their ideologies. And number three, they are inciting the crowd. They are inciting the crowd to go along with their with what they want. So this is what exactly is Korach doing. He is gathering all the people together with him. And actually that is not good. Now, we're just gonna have to continue to read. Datan and Abiram had openly demonstrated their animosity towards Moses, accusing him of being a despot and an impostor. Moreover, God himself had already sealed their punishment, instructing Moses only to save the other rebels from Datan and Abiram's impending fate. Still, Moses did not give up hope that his enemies would repent, doing everything in his power to influence them to reconsider. We learn from Moshe to always do whatever we can to bring our brethren back to God and His Torah, even when it seems that all hope is lost. This is true even when they are ignoring their faith intentionally, and all the more so when they are acting out of ignorance. So this is also important to remember, that when it comes to faith, we know that some people are actually doing evil things, and we know that some people are actually doing things intentionally, abandoning their faith, ignoring the borders, questioning positions and questioning abilities. But we still have to learn from Moshe. Moshe has the character of still getting them back, winning them back to God. He still wants something good for them, even if they had cost him tremendous damage. Because first, these people, when they questioned him, they are already creating division. But look at what Moshe did. Moshe did not falter. He actually stood He actually stood in his position and trusted only God alone. Yeah. So now we're just gonna go to the next talk. The next talk is killing death, and the reading is in Numbers 17:9-15. So let me see. When Korach and his followers refused to back down, God sent forth fire to consume the people who had offered up incense. The rest of the rebels were swallowed up in pits that opened up in the ground. The following day, the Israelites complained about the rebels' fate. They asserted that the incense was an instrument of death to demonstrate their error and to punish those who still adhered to Korach's mistaken belief. God unleashed an epidemic which started killing people instantaneously. He then instructed Aaron to stave off his epidemic by offering up incense, proving that when used in God's service, it promotes life and saves from death. So we're gonna read this in Numbers 17, and here there's a huge tragedy that happens in this community, because remember when Korach questioned the authority of Moshe, and then he goes over to Aaron, and then he took these people together with him. So the problem here is that Korach caused a lot of confusion and division among the people. And we're just gonna read to 17:12 here. Speak to the children of Israel and take from them a staff for each father's house from all the chieftains according to their father's houses, a total of 12. And inscribe each man's name on his staff. Inscribe Aaron's name on the staff of Levi, for there is only one staff for the head of their father's house. So remember that Korah is also under the Levites, okay, under the house of Levi. And since Aaron is the head, so it means that Korah is just a part of the Kohanim. Okay, he is one of the servants according to the scripture. You shall place the staff in the tent of meeting before the ark of the testimony, where I commune with you. So from this chapter, we can also read in 28, whoever comes close to the Mishkan of the Lord dies. So what happened to this? Okay, so there was a staff, that God had said it would blossom. Okay, whoever let me see, to read it correct, there's actually and on the following day Moshe came to the tent of testimony, and behold, Aaron's staff for the house of Levi had blossomed. It gave forth blossoms, sprouted buds, and produced ripe almonds. So there's already a chosen one. He was the chosen one to be the high priest in the house of Levi. And smell is the most spiritual of our five senses. It can transport us to the loftiest levels of consciousness, and it can be used to restore consciousness to people who have fainted. For this reason, the incense in the tabernacle expressed our inner unity with God. When this lofty experience of oneness with God is balanced by humble submission to His will, it is positive. When it outweighs our devotion to God's will, it becomes suicidal and therefore negative. Okay. Thus, when incense was offered up out of the selfish desire to escape reality and responsibility, it proved fatal. So this also means that our motivations or our desires actually are part, they play a big role in our service to God. So it is very important as well that we have to know our limitations. We don't maybe need to question the the role of the authorities. For example, if they do mistake, then that's the time that we have to expose them. But if we question them, actually, there's a problem in our character. I can say that whenever we question them, there's a small spot of jealousy or envy in our hearts because of the position that they have. It means that there is no contentment in our lives. That's why we want to be like them. That's why envy arose. And whenever we do so, it will always create a danger in our lives. So the antidote to this misguided suicidal drive is to channel it positively by persistently choosing to give up our lives, our selfish involvement with unholy enticement, in favor of studying the Torah with humility. The Torah becomes part of us and will remain with us. So remember that that Korach, they already grew up with this surrounding of Torah and for the reading, and they also have the part within the service to the Mishkan, to the temple. But the problem is their motivations, his motives, and he's not content of what he have, because what Moshe was also saying here is that isn't not enough for you that you have that kind of position, you know. Is it not enough for you that you are already close to God and still want to do much more? Because the role that they have actually is to carry out those utensils into the temple, and there's a specific times whenever they come there. So it also means that there is no contentment in his heart, and I think that this is very, very dangerous. Okay, now let's go to the next reading, the need for speed. Okay, in order to demonstrate conclusively that the tribe of Levi, the priest and the Levites, had been set apart from the rest of the Jewish people for their respective tasks by God Himself, God commanded Moshe to take the staff of the princes of each of the 12 tribes and place them next to the ark in the Holy of Holies, the inner chamber of the tabernacle. Moses did so, and Aaron's staff miraculously sprouted almonds overnight, whereas the other staff remained unchanged. And this need and this means death for those other stuff. Okay? Of all fruits, almonds are the quickest to blossom, ripen, and be ready for human consumption. The attribute of speed characterizes the priest function of the tabernacle in two ways. The priest blessed the people every morning. The purpose of their blessing was to enable God's goodness to reach the Jewish people speedily and directly. The priests perform their duties quickly and with liveliness. Inasmuch the Jewish people are a kingdom of priests and a holy nation, we should learn from the priests' quickness to fulfill their duties. We should not relate to our divine mission in life half-heartedly or resignedly. Rather, we must respond to every opportunity quickly, energetically, and wholeheartedly. When we do so, we are assured that God's blessing and the success of our efforts will not delay in coming. So this also means that this is not a calling. Okay, it's not a calling, but it's a designated position since birth. So for example, the Levites, the in the house of Levi, whenever they got new children, they will be trained to have this in their lives. And it's not just because they are Levites, it's also for us who are believers. It's also important for us to recognize that whenever we have a devotion to God, we have to be quick in doing them. We have to be quick in observing and serving God for that matter. Okay? We have to do it not because we are resigned to do it. We are not told to do it, but we are doing it wholeheartedly. Okay? So let's go to number 6. And then number 6, the Jewish people finally accepted the divinely ordained distinction between the priest and the Levites on one hand and the lay people on the other. However, they then complained that since entering designated areas of the tabernacle compound was a capital offense of for a non-Levites, they were constantly exposed to the danger of death. God therefore made the priest and Levites responsible for keeping non-Levites from entering off-limit areas. Remember when Aharon was there, it was together with Moshe, and there's already a plague in the community because it started with Korach's rebellion. Now, as the sickness was coming in, and God said, "The both of you step aside, Aaron and Moshe." But what did they do? This is what I say, the need for speed from the previous talk, just for a while, in number 5. Moshe, he actually rushed outside in the midst of the people to stop the plague. It also means in our life today, we don't drop dead nowadays whenever we do some mistakes or whenever we do something that is against the law of God. But what happened to us now is when we sin, we know actually that there is something wrong in our lives. So what shall we do? If we experience that someone we know in our community are happen to have those kind of situations, what we can do is go in their midst and to guide them, to help them to realize. But if they themselves do not have the ability to allow you or to understand what you are saying, put your hands up and leave it to God. Okay? So that is the need for speed as well of doing the doing the responsibility in serving God. We see here that there is a level of relationship with God that we cannot achieve on our own. It can only be given to us by God as a gift. This wondrous state is referred to in the Songs of Songs, King Solomon's poetic description of the love between God and the Jewish people as a love of delights, and is likened by the Talmudic sages to the pleasure of godly revelation that awaits us in the afterlife. This ecstatic love of God was felt by the priests regularly, but inasmuch as the entire Jewish people is a kingdom of priests and a holy nation, we can all aspire to this rapturous love of God, at least occasionally. So, in the course of describing the priest's duties, God instructed Moshe to tell to the priest, "I have given your priesthood to you as a gift of service." So, we can understand from here as well in Numbers 18. We're gonna go to Numbers 18. Okay, and let's see. It says like this: "I have therefore taken your brethren, the Levites, from among the nation from among the children of Israel. They are given to you as a gift and given over to the Lord to perform the service in the tent of meeting. And you and your sons shall keep your kehuna in all matters concerning the altar and concerning what is within the dividing screen, and you shall serve the service as a gift. I have given your kehuna, and any other non-Kohen who approaches shall die. So this means that only the Kohen and only the Levites can come close, but those who are not Kohen will die. So it also speaks here that the position that they have is given as a gift. It is actually not a calling, but it is the responsibility that is already built in with them. God had appointed that in their soul already before they were born. And I believe that being a servant of God, as the rabbis or the those professionals within the biblical studies are actually born that way. I wouldn't say that I am, because I am not, but since this is just my devotion to God, to serve Him through reading these things, because my desire is to learn. So both of us are learning here. But when it comes to the authorities of the rabbis, the biblical authorities, those are actually the ones that we have to consider. But those are the ones we have to give the respect to. And so now we're gonna go to back to the reading. So this is ecstatic love of God was felt by the priest regularly, but inasmuch as the entire Jewish people is a kingdom of priests and a holy nation, we can all aspire to this rapturous love of God, at least occasionally, right? So now we had a little bit of picture in that. So we're gonna go to the seventh reading, and the seventh reading is the Shabbat, the priest allotments. So it's also important for us to remember the allotments of the priest. Okay, so it's in 18 from 21. And the descendants of Levi, I have given all tithes of Israel as an inheritance in exchange for their service, which they perform the service of the tent of meeting. The children of Israel shall therefore no longer approach the tent of meeting, lest they bear sin and die. The Levites, so now we have to listen to this. The Levites shall perform the service of the tent of meeting, and they will bear their iniquity. It is an eternal stature for your generations, but among the children of Israel they shall have no inheritance. For the tithes of the children of Israel, which they set aside for the Lord as a gift, I have given to the Levites as an inheritance. Thus I have said to them that they shall have no inheritance among the children of Israel. Okay, so your gift shall be considered for you as a grain from the threshing floor and as the produce of the vats. So shall you too set aside a gift for the Lord from all the tithes you take from the children of Israel, and you shall give thereof the Lord's gift to Aaron the priest. So what does this mean? This also means that all of in Tagalog we say that hindi talaga maganda na yung mga pari ay yumayaman, kasi nakalagay dito sa ating Biblia na ang mga pari or ang mga nagsisilbi sa Panginoon ay hindi dapat magpapayaman sa pera na ibinibigay ng tao, kundi of course na maging ano nila yon, na maging parte ng mga pari yon. Kasi ang nakalagay dito, lahat ng iyon ay binibigay sa kanila ng Panginoon bilang kanilang allotment. Ang allotment ay kumbaga ito yung parte nila. So, kung halimbawa ang ibinigay ay 'di ba yung mga galing sa sakahan, yun yung kakainin nila. Yung mga bagay na ibinibigay doon sa simbahan na yon or sa pagsisilbing templo na iyon, yun ang parang kapalit ng pagsisilbi ng mga kohanim sa templo. So, hindi sila nagsisweldo. So, yun yung old traditions hanggang ngayon. Old traditions ng mga pare. Pero, yung mga nakikita po kasi natin ngayon, mali yun. Mali yun na yumayaman yung mga pare, pinagkakakitaan nila yung mga tao. So, hindi talaga yun maganda. So, now, what I can say here is as well that I've been saying this in my language that the allotment of the priest belongs to them because God actually had designated that these allotments will be used only by the priest. Okay, so for example, some of the grain offerings, some of them, parts of them are actually offered to God, and parts of them is actually eaten in the temple only by the people or only by the Kohanim. And there was actually no money spoken in this chapter. There were most of the spices, for example, spices and grains. All those things that they can get from the threshing floor. All of the produce from the farm will go. Some parts of them will go to the Kohanim. And now, one more thing is also to remember that the Levites do not have properties to own. So, yung mga pare na yon, wala silang mga pag-aari, wala silang mga ari-arian. Kasi, ang sabi ng Panginoon, ang kanilang ari-arian ay ang pagsisilbi sa Panginoon at ang posisyon nila bilang tagapagsilbi ng Panginoon. So, it is important to remember that their position and their allotment or their property is their service to God, their position in God, right? So, we shall not forget that. And now we just have come to the end. Okay. So God instructed Moshe to tell to the Levites, when you take the tithe from the Israelites, you must set aside from it a portion for God, which you will give to the priest. When you take the tithe from the Israelite, you must set aside from it a portion. So that's what I have said a while ago. So ang tithes na yon, magse-separate ng konti para doon sa mga pare. 'Di ba? So ibig sabihin yung mga pare, hindi dapat nila kukunin yung mga ibinibigay ng tao sa mga yung mga donasyon na ibinibigay, 'di ba? Hindi nila dapat susolohin yun, kundi ang konting portion na yun ay para sa kanila, para magkaroon sila ng kakainin, ng dadamitin, ng isa sa buhay, dahil ang buhay ng mga pare na naaayon sa Biblia ay wala silang mga ari-arian. Diba? Wala silang karapatan magkaroon ng ari-arian dahil ang kanilang pagsilbi sa Panginoon ay isa ng napakalaking posisyon na ibinigay ng Panginoon. So dapat doon lang sila. And that is important to understand. So although the physical priesthood was reserved for the descendants of Aaron, the spiritual priesthood is accessible to all the Jews. God called the entire Jewish people a kingdom of priests. As Rabbi Moses Maimonides explains, any human being whose spirit moves him and whose intellect has motivated him to distinguish himself by standing before God, serving him, and knowing him, has become sanctified like the Holy of Holies, and will be granted all of his physical needs, just as they were provided for the priests and Levites. In other words, when we recognize the purpose of our lives to serve God and to dedicate ourselves to accomplishing it, we are assured of the best of everything, material and spiritual, at all times. This also assures us as a believers that we don't need to be worried of our physical needs, of the things that most people are worried, the clothing, the food, the shelter. Why? Because God will provide them. If your heart, and your mind, doesn't it? The Shema is the Shema Israel, Arara, Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. That also speaks about trusting God, right? That also speaks trusting God. So it means that whenever we trust God, whenever we know by our hearts that God will provide for us if we serve him, not reluctantly, we serve him wholeheartedly. We serve him not because of our personal motives, not of anything like that, but we serve him because we know we love him and we know we cannot live without him, and we know that our life is nothing without him, and we know for a certain that we can be nothing without him. All of the things, the problems and the troubles that you have in life will fade away. All of the things you worried will be fade away because you are standing, trusting that God will provide for you. And it is also good to remember that all of us have been into the position of Korach. We have one time in our lives questioned the authorities of those people guiding and leading us. One time in our lives, we have questioned the authorities of those who have guided us. We have misunderstood them. And sometimes we question their position because we thought that we know many things, and we thought that they don't know nothing about us. And we thought that their position should be ours because we know much more better than them. When we put them higher than us, that's when pride comes, that's when the danger comes, and that's when your life will become so miserable. And also, in that kind of position of Korach, do not forget that once we also had gathered many people just to come along with our opinions. There is one time in our lives that we actually have destroyed lives. Because of us, some people were destroyed. And because of others, our life were destroyed. Because of the rebellion character. Let's respect the borders. The borders are not there to stop us in doing good things in life. But the borders are there for us to know that this border is our guideline. It is not something to stop us, but it is the guideline of life. That when we know that we are about to commit something against the will of God, then that border is a reminder for us that, hey, remember to obey the Lord your God. All right. So I thank you so much, everyone, for your kindness in being here. I am so much proud of you listening to me, and it's so much helpful as well if you would share this stream. I'm thankful. And by the way, I'm gonna share you this music. This is actually written for me, and the copyright belongs to the owner of the song. And so here we go. It So by the way, before I play it, this song is about guidance. The title is Guidance. It is in my language. All right. It is modern music.
Yo. Hindi ako ang pinakamabait na tao na ginawa ng Diyos ko. Minsan naisip ko na yung mga bagay talaga na nakakalimutan ko na sa buhay. Kaya naisip ko, Lord, ito ba talaga? Alam ko na kung mapagmamasdan, malabo na maging huwaran ng tipo ng tao na karapat-dapat na tularan. Matagay kitang hindi kinausap, bulag-bulagan, manipipit-pingit sa bawat isang kasalanan. Araw-araw kong ginagawa ng di ko alintanan, habang sa iba ang turo ko lagi maniwala sa pangarap. Ako mismo daan-dahan na nawawalan, matibay sa tingin nila pero ako ay tao lang. Nalilito, nagtatanong, nagtataka kung bakit kahit tanim ko ay maganda, bumabalik kay pangit. Habang ako ay nag-aabot, sa amin ay nagkakaig, pero ito ako lumalaban kahit pa masakit. Sabi nila inaangat mo ang binababa, pero bakit buhay pa rin kung sino mga sasama na uuna? Mga mahalaga at mabubuti, ako ay gabayan mo sa mundo to bilang baluti, dahil ikaw lamang na nakakaalam. Hindi ako mahilig dahil sa sadya-adya. Dapat na mapunta kaya kung namin pasan, hindi pa rin nalalayuan. Hoy, pagbabayan, hoy, pagbabayan. Sa mga panahong di iniisip ang ginagawa, ang sarili lamang ang hangad na madakma, at ang pinagawalan ng iba masasaklap sa lahat. Handa ko itapon ng kahit ano para sa hinahangad na kapangyarihan, influensya at katanyagan. Teknolohiya ang may dulot ng gantong kasakiman, nakakabuti. Oo, pero lulong na rin ang tao, nilikha mo ang kaalaman. Ako akong mabuso, aminado, uhaw kasing mapuri ng iba. Sa kakabago yung sarili ko hindi nakilala, sabay sa kung ano ang sukatan ng pangkalahatan, para maramdamang parte ka ng mundong inaapakan. Ganto ba? Di ba sabi mo pantayan nilikha mo? Ganto ba? Basta kulay ang pinapatayan tao para sa ng pag-ulan. Kung ito'y kasasama mo, hindi yata dapat mundo ang magbago. Dapat tayo pero ikaw lamang yung makakaalam. Hindi ako mahilig dahil sa sadya-adya. Dapat na mapunta kaya kung namin pasan, hindi pa rin nalalayuan. Hoy, pagbabayan, hoy, pagbabayan. Sa dami ng mga nangyayari sa mundo sa panahon ito, sa halong-halong kabuluhan, krisis, ito at pasakit na pinapasa natin sa kasama. Hindi lamang bilang isang bansa, pero bilang isang puso. Ngayon ang panahon na kahit iba-iba ang ating salita, iba-iba ang ating pagkain sa buhay, iba-iba ang estilo, paniniwala, religiyon, kulay, lahi, uri ng buhay, mayaman, mahirap. Ngayon ang pinaka-importanteng panahon para sa pagproduksyon, hindi para sa pera, hindi para sa gera, hindi para sa kastigatan, pag-angat, pagiging kilala. Ito ang panahon. Ito ang panahon. Ito ang panahon ng pagiging isa.
Hi, Christine. Hindi, seryoso kasi nakikinig ako dun sa kanta. Ang ganda kaya ng kanta, di ba? Di ka ba nagandahan sa kanta, Christine Tampus? Shoutout naman sa'yo, Mami Josephine Gemoro, tsaka kay Sibit Lanas. Ayun, di ba? Maganda kasi yung kanta. Kaya, seryoso ako. Nakikinig kasi ako kanina eh. Nagsa-sound trip din ako eh. Oo naman eh.
Alam kong nahihirapan na ang karamihan dahil sa mga hindi inaasahang naganap. Bawat patak ng luha ay ating nasaksihan, batid ang takot at lungkot sa buong sambayanan. Tibayan ang iyong sarili, magtiwala sa Panginoon. Magkakaisa ang kailangan natin sa ngayon. Buksan mo ang puso at isipan, tumulong sa nangangailangan. Lahat tayo'y kailangan upang ating malampasan. Kaya natin ito.
Ay, Mami Josephine, anong oras po yung live stream mo bukas, Mami Jo?
Kaya natin ito. Magkaisa ang lahat. Iisang lahi, iisang awit, isang bansang ating. Iisang lahi, iisang awit, iisang bansang ating.
Mami Josephine, ano pong oras yung live worship mo tomorrow? What is the time of your Sunday worship, Mami Jo?
Hulmado ng panahon, walang malaking laban. Bayang may bayanihan, mag-iingat sa tapang, hindi matutularan. Taas loo, lahat ng ulos, handang harapin, sigalot na humahampas. Kayang bangyain, inaahinag sa dilim, mga nagkagandahang kulay. Panibagong bukas, maghahandog ng buhay. Sama-sama tayo, mag-iisang buo, isisigaw Pinoy, ako ang dumadari sa dugo. Tatlong-pitong isang araw ang sa atin sumisinan. Kahit anumang pagsubok, hindi magpapatina. Hanggang sa kayang matanaw, puti-pula dilaw bughaw, sama-sama tayong gagalaw, wala sa ating bibitaw. Mananatili ang sigaw ng ating lahi, dapat palagi nag-aalam kahit ang ginawa kang malamig. Mabasa ka man ang tubig kahit na anong bagyo, lagi pasulong ang hitak ko, lagi paangat ang lundag mo. Tignan mo, kapit kamay ang mga Pinoy kahit na naging ganito. Walang susuko kahit tumulong kami sa dugo. Pakinggan mo ang akta ito, kahit na ako di pa rin nabuburang.
Mami Jo, I always 5 p.m. daw.
Pananalig ang sangkap ko, kaya ko masabi
okay.
ka mga grabe, aking pinagmamalaki. Dahil kakayanin kasi krisis ka lang, Pilipino kami. Kaya natin ito, Pilipinas kong mahal. Kaya natin ito, magkaisa ang lahat. Iisang lahi, iisang awit, isang bansang ating. Iisang lahi, iisang awit, iisang bansang ating.
All right, so now our live stream has come to its end for this Saturday fellowship or Shabbat reading. So I thank you so much, everyone, for your kindness and your patience. I hope to see you again the next time I go live. And yes, see ya. And by the way, don't forget to check out my latest premieres or uploads about my paintings. And I hope to see you there. Right. So for those who are actually also interested in logos, I am pleased to serve you. I can do this kind of logos for you, as you can see. And there's a lot more of things that I can provide, for example, channel arts or so. And these are the channel arts that I do. And the most channels that I provided were actually Young Markelov, Josephine Gimoro, Jam Sam Rasta, Fitness with Caroline, and it's me, Carlene, and Melvin Blue, Madame Tisay, and Lace House. Okay, so that's it for today, and I hope to see you again. All right, so I hope to see you again, friends and brothers and sisters out there. And Shabbat Shalom, and God bless to each and every one of you.